Let me tell you something about the Galactic Unity Academy, and I say this with full sincerity. It was the most prestigious institution in 14 star systems, home to the brightest young minds from species you cannot even pronounce without dislocating your jaw. Varadi students with 6 arms. Polukan scholars who breathed methane through gill slits on their necks. Dorkai cadets who had 3 fully functioning brains, which, frankly, was 3 more than some of the faculty used on a daily basis. And then, there was Mira Okafor. One human girl. 19 years old. Carrying a backpack that looked like it had survived a small war, wearing boots that had clearly seen actual mud, and holding a printed physical acceptance letter, because apparently, she did not trust the holographic version. I watched her arrive from my post near the academy entrance. My name is Quell, and I am a Dorkai administrative observer, assigned to monitor incoming students for behavioral irregularities. In other words, I watch things happen. I take notes. And on that particular morning, I had absolutely no idea I was about to witness something that would become mandatory training material for the next 40 years. The gate to the academy main campus was wide, gleaming, and automatic. It opened for registered students using biometric confirmation, neural signature scanning, and a 17-point identity verification process that had cost the academy approximately 8 million credits to install. It was, by every measurable standard, impossible to be denied wrongfully. Unless, of course, someone was standing in front of it. His name was Toven Blaar, and he was a third-year Varadi student with a reputation that walked into rooms about 3 seconds before he did. Tall, armored in natural exoskeletal plating that shimmered like oil on dark water, 6 arms crossed over his chest in a posture that communicated, quite efficiently, that he did not like what he was seeing. What he was seeing was Mira Okafor, standing patiently in line, waiting to pass through the gate. Now, Toven had a hobby. It was not academics, that much I can confirm from his records. His hobby was selecting first-year students who looked like they did not belong and making absolutely certain they felt it. He had done it to a young Polukan girl the previous semester, who had cried methane-laced tears for a week. He had done it to a quiet Rindali boy who ended up transferring out entirely. The academy administration had received 14 complaints about Toven Blaar, and had responded to all 14 with the institutional enthusiasm of a sleeping rock. Toven stepped directly in front of the gate, turned around, and looked at Mira with all 4 of his primary eyes. "This entrance," he said, loudly enough that the nearby students could hear, "is for cadets enrolled in advanced programs. Not visitor access. Not scholarship placement students. Not, whatever category this is." He gestured at her with 2 of his arms in a way that I can only describe as aggressively dismissive. Mira blinked. She had brown eyes, I noticed. Very calm brown eyes, the kind that had clearly been in situations before and had decided, at some previous point in her life, not to panic about them anymore. "I have an acceptance letter," she said. Simply. Flatly. Like she was commenting on the weather. "Letters can be forged," Toven replied. He was smiling now, and with a Varadi, you knew it was a smile because the mandible plates shifted upward. It was not a friendly expression. It was the expression of someone who had done this before and expected the same result he always got. The students around them had gone quiet. A few Polukan kids had stepped back. 2 Rindali students had taken out recording devices, which, looking back, was extremely wise. "Step aside," Toven said. "Come back with documentation processed through the proper channels. If you are actually enrolled, which I doubt, you will receive a new gate pass by the end of the week." Mira tilted her head to the right. Just slightly. "By the end of the week," she repeated. "That is what I said." She looked at her letter. Then at the gate. Then back at Toven. And she did something I had not anticipated. She did not argue, did not cry, did not raise her voice. She reached into that war survivor backpack, pulled out a small rectangular card, and pressed it against the gate panel herself. The gate opened immediately. Not slowly. Not partially. It opened with the full green light biometric confirmation sound and everything, because Mira Okafor was, in fact, a registered student, verified across all 17 identity points, and the gate had zero problems with her whatsoever. Toven stared at the open gate. And then the sound of boots on polished floor broke through the silence, sharp and deliberate, coming from behind the crowd. Every student turned around. I turned around. And I felt something I had not felt in 11 years of administrative observation, something very close to second-hand relief, mixed with a generous portion of what humans apparently call, "Oh, this is going to be good." The boots belonged to Instructor Corrun. Now, if you have never heard of Corrun, let me paint you a picture using only facts, because the facts alone are already alarming. 22 years of field service across 9 active conflict zones. Former lead tactical advisor to the Galactic Unity High Command. The only non-human instructor at the Academy who had completed the full human military exchange program on Earth, which, from what I understood, involved things like running up mountains for no reason and sleeping in rain voluntarily. She had returned from that program with 3 commendations, a permanent slight limp in her left leg that she refused to have treated, and what her colleagues described as a deeply unsettling respect for the human species. She was Pelucan. Tall, silver-gray, with gill slits that flared when she was paying close attention to something. And right now, every single gill slit was open. She walked through the parted crowd like the crowd had always intended to part for her and had simply been waiting for the right moment. She stopped 4 steps away from Toven Blaar, looked at the open gate, looked at Mira standing calmly just past it, and then looked at Toven with an expression that I would describe, professionally, as geological. As in, it had the energy of something that had been forming for a very, very long time and was now simply arriving. "Cadet Blaar," she said. Her voice was quiet. That was the part that made every student near me take one invisible step backwards. Loud was manageable. Quiet, from Corrun, was something else entirely. "Instructor Corrun," Toven said. He was recalibrating. You could see it happening in real time, the 6 arms loosening slightly, the mandible plates lowering into neutral position. He was trying to decide which version of this situation he was standing in. He had chosen wrong before he even opened his mouth again. "I was simply verifying the credentials of an incoming student," he said. Standard peer accountability. The Academy encourages upperclassmen to assist in maintaining gate integrity. Instructor Corrun let him finish. She was generous that way. Then she said, "The gate opened." "Yes, but..." "The gate," she repeated, "opened." The 17-point biometric system, which costs more than your home planet's annual infrastructure budget, confirmed this student's identity without hesitation. "And yet, you," she paused here, and that pause had weight, physical, measurable weight, felt qualified to overrule it. "With your arms crossed. In front of witnesses." Toven said nothing. "Smart." Instructor Corrun turned to Mira, who had been standing just past the gate this entire time with the patience of someone who had packed a lunch and fully expected to need it. "Cadet Okafor," she said. "And here is the part 1 wrote in my observation notes in capital letters, because I felt it deserved them." Her voice changed. Not softer exactly, but different. Deliberate. "I apologize for the delay in your entry to this institution. It should not have happened. It will not happen again." The silence that followed that apology was the loudest silence I had ever observed in 11 years of documentation. A senior academy instructor. Apologizing. To a first-year student. In front of approximately 40 witnesses and 2 active recording devices. Not because she was required to. Not because administration had told her to. But because she had walked up, assessed the situation in under 10 seconds, and decided that the correct and decent thing to do was acknowledge, clearly and publicly, that a wrong had occurred. Mira looked at her for a moment. Those calm brown eyes doing their calm brown thing. "Thank you, instructor," she said. I figured the gate would sort it out eventually. And that sentence, was what broke Toven Blaar. Not the apology directed at Mira. Not the audience. Not even Corrun's geological expression. It was the fact that Mira had not been scared. Had not been shaken. Had stood there, quietly confident, because she had known, with complete certainty, that the facts were on her side, and she was content to wait for them to do their job. Toven had expected panic. He had received patience. And there is nothing more destabilizing to a bully than a target who simply did not behave like one. Instructor Corrun escorted Mira personally to the orientation hall. I followed at a professional distance, because documentation required it and absolutely not because I was intensely curious about what happened next. What happened next was that Mira sat in the front row, pulled out a notebook made of actual paper, and began writing with an actual pen. 3 Polukan students leaned over to look at it. One Rindali cadet asked her what the pen was. She explained it to them for 6 minutes with the enthusiasm of someone describing their favorite thing in the world. By the end of orientation, she had 4 people sitting around her who had started the day sitting elsewhere. As for Toven Blaar, he received a formal disciplinary review, mandatory sensitivity recalibration sessions, and the particular social punishment that no institution can officially assign but which is brutally effective. Every student who had been at that gate knew exactly what he had done, and exactly how it had ended. I filed my observation report that evening. Under behavioral irregularities, I wrote one sentence. The human did not panic. Recommend updating threat assessment protocols for human students accordingly. My supervisor read it, looked at me, and said nothing for a long moment. Then she approved it without changes. Some lessons, it turns out, cost 8 million credits to almost learn, and 1 printed acceptance letter to actually teach. Friends, if you are enjoying our videos and want to watch new and exciting sci-fi and HFY stories every day, then don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Also, make sure to turn on the bell icon so you never miss any of our latest uploads. Like the video and share it with your friends as well, so our community can continue to grow and bring you even more amazing content.